Hey guys, so have you ever gone past a building and thought to yourself, I wonder who lived there? Well, we have something in London called blue plaques, and they actually tell those stories. The idea was first brought forward by William Ewart, an MP, and he brought forward the idea to the House of Commons. The idea really caught on, and in 1863 the first two blue plaques were put up. One was of the famous poet Lord Byron, which was on Holly Street, just by Cavendish Square, but unfortunately that building no longer exists. And the other one was for Napoleon III, which was on King Street, which is, I'll just show you right now. Now the scheme passed through many hands, from the Royal Society of Arts to the Greater London Council, but unfortunately in the 1980s that organisation was disbanded by Margaret Thatcher. And now the ownership goes to the English Heritage. On average, they put up 10 to 15 new plaques a year. And if you feel like a house is worthy of a blue plaque outside the front, you could actually nominate someone. The honorees of these blue plaques must be distinguished, must make also a positive impact, and also be high up within the public standing. So in this video, I'm going to be showing you my top 10 favourite blue plaques in London, and you know, they mean something to me, so enjoy. Now the next plaque I'm going to show you is number 22 Ebury Street, and who lived here was Ian Fleming. Now in the 1950s he created a few books known as the Casino Royale, Live and Let Die, and also Diamonds Are Forever. When he passed away in 1964, those books became films and made a certain James Bond a cultural icon. And this is his house here, just to my left. So we're just taking a walk down Hyde Park Gate, which is in the area of Kensington, and we were looking for number 28 Hyde Park Gate because a famous Winston Churchill lived down here. And whilst growing up, he served as a soldier in Sudan. He then became a correspondent during the Boer War. Then in the 1900s, he then became a member of the Conservative Party, which he then also became the Home Secretary of. In 1940, he then became Prime Minister and joined a coalition government to defeat Hitler and his army, which he succeeded in. And once the war had finished, he had to swallow a bitter pill because he actually lost the general election. His wife later said that it was probably a blessing in disguise. Then he became Prime Minister for a second time. And unfortunately, in 1965, this is when Winston Churchill, or Sir Winston Churchill, passed away. But his house is just to my right here. Okay, so our next stop brings us off onto South Street, which is in the area of Mayfair. And we're going to be talking about the house of a certain Florence Nightingale. Now in her 20s, she had a feeling that she wanted to become a nurse. But back in the 1800s, being a nurse wasn't really a respected trade. And so she asked her family to go out to hospitals and try to establish an institution for sick women, which she did successively. And during the Second beg your pardon, the Crimean War, she heard of many soldiers suffering, and so she set up 38 nurses, including herself, to go out to Crimea and look after these poor soldiers. Now, she was outstanding with her amount of hygiene and cleanliness, that she actually brought down the death rate from around 40% down to 2%. When she came back from the Crimean War, she became a national hero, and this is her house. Now, the next place we're at for our next blue plaque is on Upper Grosvenor Street, which is still in Mayfair, and it's the house we're looking for of Sir Robert Peel, who was actually the founder of the Metropolitan Police Force in 1829. This is why sometimes you refer to policemen as bobbies or peelers, because of the founder, Sir Robert Peel. But just coming up to our right now is the house of Sir Robert Peel. So the next stop that we're at is we're on the street known as New Bond Street. And New Bond Street is known for its high-end shops. I won't go through the list, but you get the idea. But down here lived one of our famous greatest admirals, known as Lord Nelson. And Lord Nelson won a number of famous victories for the British, which included Battle of the Nile, Cape St. Vincent, Copenhagen, and also the Battle of Trafalgar. And where he actually lived is this building here. Okay guys, so we're on Wimpole Street, which is in the Marylebone area, and the next house I'm going to be showing you is the house of Dr. Frederick Treves, and he was a leading doctor in the Victorian period, but he was most famous for discovering the Joseph Merrick, who was also known as the Elephant Man. Whilst Dr. Frederick Treves was on his break, he was taking a walk along Whitechapel Road, and he went past number 259 Whitechapel Road, and he saw a sign saying The Freak Show. As he goes into the building, he spots Joseph Merrick, and he thought it was very inhumane what was going on, and so he told Merrick to come with him into the London hospital, which was just across the road from there. As he took him in, Joseph Merrick actually lived the remainder of his life there, and he was well looked after. But Joseph Merrick actually had a syndrome called protest syndrome, which is like an overgrowth of tissues. Dr. Frederick Treves also was a doctor for the royal family, and his speciality was in abdominal surgery. He actually did an operation on King Edward VII, and just to the left here is Dr. Frederick Treves' house. Now guys, as we take a walk along Montague Square, just behind us here, if you can see, it's all these beautiful communal gardens, and these are the gardens for the people that live on this square. And you've got some rather nice cars as well, as you can see just behind us here. But the reason why we're down here is to sort out another blue plaque, and this blue plaque was made for the legendary songwriter known as John Lennon, and he lived at number 34, it looks like here. Yes, 34 Montague Square. And 34 Montague Square has a lot of links to the Beatles, because this is where in 1965 Ringo Starr actually bought this apartment. It was then rented out to Paul McCartney, and then in 1968, the second half of 1968, John and Yoko Ono lived here, and whilst he was writing the White Album for the Beatles, and also the album The Two Virgins, which the photo cover of John and Yoko being naked is actually taken in this very building, and this was his home here. Okay, so we're just taking a walk down Hamilton Terrace, which is in the area known as St John's Wood. St John's Wood is famous for the Abbey Road crossing, which is just round the corner from here. But Hamilton Terrace, which is the street we're on right now, it has quite a lot of American families that live here actually. Just round the corner from here, you have the American School of London, which a lot of the American families would like to, well, they take their children to this school so they can learn the American curriculum. Just crossing the road here, guys. And down here you have quite a special blue plaque, and this blue plaque is of Sir Joseph Bazalgette, who happened to be the saviour of London during the event called the Great Stink, which took place in 1858. He was also responsible for building up to 1,300 miles of sewers across London, and he was also famous for being the designer for Battersea Bridge and also Hammersmith Bridge. And this is his home here on Hamilton Terrace. The next house I'm going to be showing you is that of Rudyard Kipling. And Rudyard Kipling's parents, when they first met, they met on the shore of Lake Rudyard, which is in Staffordshire. Then they named their son Rudyard, hence the name. Rudyard then was actually born in Bombay. His father actually taught in an art school out in India. And then when Rudyard grew up, he was sent to a school in England, which he hated the experience. And then in 1882, he moved back to India. He actually learnt to be a journalist out there, and also wrote a lot of sketches and poetry. Later in the 1880s, he moved back to England, and in 1894 he finally wrote The Jungle Book, which we all know him famous for. Now, the 10th and final plaque that I'll be showing you today is of none other than Charles Dickens. Probably Britain's most famous novelist, and he wrote a number of stories known as The Christmas Carol, Nicholas Nickleby, Oliver Twist, of course.
Please, sir, I want some more.
What?
But the house that I'm going to show you where his blue plaque is the only house that remains of its original housing. And just behind us here, if you can see, up there is where he lived, number 48 Doughty Street. Now, just before he moved in here, he was going through quite a bit of troubles with his personal life. His father was imprisoned in a prison called Marshalsea Prison, which is in Southwark, for failing to pay £10. It made him feel very lonely, and this played a major role in his life. And in fact, it actually was the starting scene of one of his famous stories known as Little Dorrit, which the heroine wakes up inside Marshalsea Prison with her father. But this house now of Charles Dickens is now a museum, which is I highly recommend you go and visit. Alright guys, well I hope you've enjoyed that video, and I thoroughly enjoyed taking you round. And if there's any ideas you have for any other videos you'd like me to do, please leave in the comments below. And if you enjoyed this video, if you could like and then subscribe to my channel, this would really help me out. And thanks for watching guys, and till the next time, bye bye.